Agent Mad Hat, year 2015, April the 27th, and an historic event has just happened. The new Arcturus album, Arcturian, has been leaked on the internet. I know it's illegal to download, and I understand that. But this is an album that's 10 years coming by one of the greatest, if not the greatest, avant-garde metal bands to ever step across the horizon of heavy metal, Arcturus. 10 years in the making. It's set to be released May the 8th. This is the triumphant return, the 10 years in the making return of the avant-garde metal masters. 2015, Arcturus. The album title is Arcturian. Let's get into it. Let's review it. As you can see, I'm quite excited about it, so that's kind of a spoiler alert to tell you this album kicks ass. I first heard the single a couple days ago when Arcturus officially released the first single called The Arcturian Sign. And to be honest with you, that track it's a wonderful track, but it's one of the weaker of the tracks on the album, so it kind of made me feel a little bit anxious. It made me feel hopeful, but at the same time, I was wondering, do they have anything else up their sleeve? Is this going to be the whole sound of the album? Well, yes and no. You know, the last album they came up with was in 2005, Sideshow Symphonies. The first album they ever did with only ICS Vortex on the vocals, no Garm. And to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of Sideshow Symphonies. It was not a bad album by any means, but as a follow-up to an album like The Sham Mirrors, if there's any Arcturus fans that are watching this, The Sham Mirrors, you all know, is one of the fucking greatest metal albums to ever be released. And an album like Sideshow Symphonies just didn't feel like a proper follow-up to an album as amazing as The Sham Mirrors. But then 10 years later, here we are. Let me set the scene for you. I'm anxious. I'm looking up online. I've listened to the new single, and I'm anxious. I'm antsy for this new album. I've known that it was coming. I've known it was in the works for at least 6 months, maybe more. I've been following Arcturus on their Facebook, and I finally got a taste of it a few days ago when they released the single. So today, I went ahead and went on Google and searched for, has it leaked, Arcturus Arcturian, and I seen that there is a leak that has been reported. So I went and searched it, and I downloaded the album. Holy shit. From front to back, this album is one hell of an album. Whereas I thought Sideshow Symphonies was a little bit of a weaker album, this felt like a proper follow-up. This felt like an album worthy to follow up The Sham Mirrors. It's on par with that album. It's not as much of a total masterpiece as The Sham Mirrors is, but it's damn close. You know, they went back to using real strings. They went, according to their website, this was supposed to be an album that showcases the best of every Arcturus incarnation, the best of Arcturus from every album they've released, and god damn it if they didn't describe it right. The keyboards are lush and lavish. The keyboard and the synth and the strings really dominate this release. That's not to take away from the guitar parts, which are goddamn amazing. But the keyboards really that's the genius part of this album, is the lush, the lavish keyboards, the the overbearing keyboards that a lot of metalheads that I see online talk about keyboards being overbearing as a bad thing, but in this album, the keyboards being the main event is a good thing because it surrounds it. It has this atmosphere, these ingenious keyboard riffs that just flow into your ears, that just encapsulate and captivate you. And then on top of that, you've got these amazing guitar riffs, these riffs that are just, it's hard to describe it. It's almost a mix between black metal riffing, death metal riffing, and classic metal riffing. And on top of that, you've got almost every song on this album has a kick-ass guitar solo in it. Every time the guitar takes the lead in this album, it's a wonder to behold. ICX ICS Vortex is on top of his game vocally, as he usually is. For some reason, Sideshow Symphonies, I keep going back to that album because for some reason that album just didn't do it for me. His vocals just wasn't doing it for me. The music wasn't doing it for me on this album, but this album, the 10-year return, and damn it if they didn't put all their effort into this album. And you can tell listening to it. The song lengths are your average 3 to 6 minute song length. They don't have any really long epics on this album like they have in albums past, but that doesn't matter because musically this album is damn near flawless. It takes the sound of the sham mirrors and streamlines it a little bit, mixes it with the more guitar oriented sound of Sideshow Symphonies. It takes, they even have a bit of classic black metal vocals in some of the songs. For me, the highlights of this album are The Journey and Angst, Warp, Game Over. You started with the Arcturian sign. The Arcturian sign is the first song off this album, and it's not a bad song, but it's one of the weakest of the few. And by the time you get into the end of that, and you get into the next song, which is Crashland, and Crashland is an amazing epic of a song. A worthy successor to the Sham Mirrors. And then from there on, you have Angst, you have Warp, you have Game Over, you have Demon, you have Pale, The Journey, Archer, and Bane. And every one of those songs is a standout song. You've got the real strings. You can hear the violin in some of the tracks. The guitars just do these amazing riffs. There's a lot of enthusiasm. You can feel the passion. You can feel that Arcturus has really got some more wind in their sails, you can tell that they have worked on this, that they have put their heart and soul into this album, and it showcases on each and every track. The keyboards are wonderful, the guitar is wonderful, the bass, Hellhammer on the drums is really showcasing the amount of precision that he can put into his drum playing, the amount of versatility. He can do a song where it's mainly blast beats, and then he can do a song where there's a lot of fills, a lot of complexity. And Sferd, the keyboardist, God fucking damn it if he's not a keyboard master, a master of synth, a master of strings. God damn it, this album's good. I can't recommend it enough. I'm so excited. Downloading it as I have is pretty fucking illegal, but I don't give a shit because this album is amazing. This album might possibly be second place in the Arcturus catalog. It might possibly have dethroned La Masquerade Infernale, and maybe even dethroned Aspera Symphony. This album is the worthy successor to to the Sham Mirrors. What Sideshow Symphony was lacking, this album makes up for in spades. If you are an Arcturus fan, I would advise you highly to listen to this album, to buy this album, to support this band, because god damn it, this is a fucking amazing album. I wouldn't be surprised if it was number one on my list of best metal albums of the year coming up later this year in December. This is a fucking great album. I've listened to it twice in a row. It's fucking good. I recommend it. Arcturus 10-year fucking return. God damn it. The 10-year return of the avant-garde metal masters, Arcturus. Listen to this fucking album. If you buy one album this year, buy the fucking Arcturus album. Arcturian. It's fucking great. Peace, motherfuckers.